Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Slasher Movie Club time. Coriander. We've talked a lot about different icons in horror. We've covered Jason, we've covered Michael, we've covered Ghostface, we've covered Candyman, we've covered the Tall Man, and now we're getting a little bit deeper into Child's Play, talking about Child's Play 2 from 1990. Sorry, Jack, Chucky's back. We did talk about Child's Play. I don't know, it's been about 4 months or so now, but a really fun episode. So if you guys haven't seen that, please check that out. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting talking about Child's Play 2. When was the last time you had seen this movie, Coriander? Oh, and your mic is muted.
Sorry. So, like, how many movies is there? Like six?
Seven,
Seven?
I think.
Okay. So,
Yeah,
wow,
seven.
is there seven? Wow. Okay, so yeah, I really haven't seen this one too often. Like, I remembered the ending. Like, I remembered it was in, where it took place and just bits and pieces, but it had been like a long time since I'd seen
Hmm.
part two.
All
Yeah.
right. It had been a little while for me too. This was one of my favorites of the franchise, especially when I was younger. But real quick, let's see what we have in the chat and get going on this. Two Boys is ready to rock and roll, saying the true classic never goes out of style. John's in the chat. Let's get the party started. Brandon's in the chat. What's going on? Dan, what's going on? Hey guys, my favorite time of the week. Oh, Dan, thank you so much. I
Nice.
appreciate that.
Right?
Miss C, you're all right, Dan. Miss C's in the chat saying, "Hey, everybody,"
I
saying,
love
"Finally,
it.
a slasher club movie I'm into." Jeez. Well,
All
Miss C, we
right.
we talk about a lot of movies that we haven't seen, and you might find a gem. Like the Final Girls. Let's see who else is in the chat. Ginger Ninja, what's going on? How you doing? Say hello,
Hey.
everyone. Good to see you. Good to see you. Let's see. And I just want to make sure I catch up to everyone. Um, Dan was saying I thought 2009 was pretty good. I'm fuzzy on some of them. And Nathan saying Child's Play 2, my second favorite in the franchise behind 3. All right.
Okay.
Uh, Melissa is in the chat. What's going on?
Mhm.
Good to see you. Ginger Ninja saying, don't forget to smash the like button, share this on your social media, and enjoy it. Thank you so much, man. We really appreciate just all the support, you as well as Dan specifically. You guys are always sharing our stuff on social media, and it really helps out a lot. Really does. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Um, Brandon saying, you've already discussed Candyman already? Yes, we have. Yes, we have. Uh,
Yeah.
Listen, guys, we've got over 650 videos. Check out the
Yeah.
backlog. But we've tried to put especially our big franchise discussions into playlists. So we've got tons of playlists. Check them out. And we've talked about pretty much all the major horror icons in the franchise. And right now we're continuing to get through the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, which by the way, this Wednesday is Nightmare 4. So join us for that. Um,
Yeah.
Entertainment Hell, what's going on? Child's Play
Mm.
2 might be the least film in the entire franchise. Oh, wow. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
I'm almost right there with them. I haven't seen this too often. So,
Okay. All right.
mm,
Omni's in the chat. What's going on? All right. So, Coriander, let's get going on this a little bit. This movie, it's really interesting because there's a huge difference between this and the original. In the original, the whole idea, there was that tension, that buildup of when Chucky is going to strike and
mhm.
also when he's going to be revealed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially to Andy's mother. That was a great scene. One of the greatest scenes in horror movie
Hmm.
history. We actually talked about that on our scariest moments of horror. Our good friend Frenzy
Yes, he
picked
did.
that
Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
great horror moment. But in this
Yeah.
movie, the cat's out of the bag. We know what Chucky is all about. We know what he's going to do and so forth and so forth.
Hmm.
So this movie is different because it just hits the ground and it starts running. It starts off with this fantastic opening where they're basically repairing his charred body from the first
Yep.
movie. And you gotta look. Let me just say this, guys. I'm gonna start off with this. We're not grading this yet, but I just want to say I found myself smiling quite a bit and I had some moments where I was chuckling in a good way because of just some of the crazy shit that was happening in this movie. And I had not seen it in quite a few years, but I remember when I was younger, I really enjoyed it. When they brought him back, his body is rebuilt. They're putting his eyes into the body of the doll, and you see that electricity. We're getting that Frankenstein uh
Mhm.
Jason moment, and I just like, oh, there it is. What did you think of the beginning and like the tone? Because it really did hit the ground and it was running.
I mean, yeah, like you said, you saw Chucky being fixed and,
Hmm.
it got back to what the hell's that kid's name?
Andy.
Andy. Yes. And, you feel bad for this poor kid. His mother, who's in this mental hospital where she has no right to be in there, yet these people are keeping her because they think she's crazy.
Hmm.
And this poor kid's in a foster with a foster family, and I thought it
Hmm.
started out, pretty good. I'm happy that the kid's still in it because,
Yeah.
yeah, apparently he still plays a role. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Alex Vincent, this movie is 2 years after the original, and I think
Hmm.
that his portrayal of Andy, I think it was really, really good. He had more to do. He was more
Yep.
confident, obviously being a little bit older, and as a character, having already dealt with Chucky, he stood up for
Hmm.
himself a bit more too. So, in the first movie, it was really we're waiting for that moment. You know what I'm saying? We
Hmm.
know Charles Lee Ray, he got into the body and so forth and so
Hmm.
on. We're waiting for him to try to get control of Andy's body and the mother trying to convince her, what Chucky is. That was that whole tense type of vibe in the first movie for so much of it until,
Hmm.
the second half. And in this movie, we already know what's going on. But like you said, he gets to be adopted, have someone take care of him while his mother is being evaluated because she is basically saying, this killer doll is real and so forth and so forth. So it makes sense,
Yeah.
a way to kind of get her out of the story. She gets adopted by this family, and it was really, really funny because obviously, and I know for you, being a huge
Yeah.
fan of An American Werewolf in London, seeing Jenny Agata in this movie was really, really cool. But her husband,
Hmm.
he was kind of a tool. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It was really,
Yep.
really funny. But they take in different children to help foster them. Obviously, the wonderful moment is obviously the character of Kyle, who plays such a big role in this movie, played by Christine Elise, and
Hmm.
she just really kind of just had so many great moments, especially later on in the film too with Chucky. But in the beginning, having this connection with Andy, she's
Hmm.
basically taking that place that his mother had in the first movie, except she's a badass character. She's a teenager and she's kind of rebellious and so forth. But let's get to, I mean,
Well,
we got
she
to talk.
said it, right? She's been through like a
Mhm.
bunch of families, so
Right.
that toughens you
Exactly.
up.
It
Yeah.
does. It does. Real quick too in the chat, let me catch up with these guys a little bit and see what's going on with them. Cody is in the chat saying the one time that Chucky gets a kid to stay still when he was doing his spell, it doesn't work. Right. I
Yeah,
know.
that's
And what a
great.
scene that was, man. What a
Right.
scene. Um, our good friend Strange Monkey is in the chat. What's
Hello.
up? What's up?
Mm.
Good to see you, man. Saying I used to rent this classic all the time back in the day. Right?
Nice.
Yes, exactly. Ed Harris is in the chat. What's up? Saying hi
Nice.
Nightwatch Zone. I'm Chucky, your friend till the end.
Oh boy.
Oh my god, too funny. Let's see. Entertainment Hell saying the advertising for Child's Play 2 is incredible. However, too bad the feature film has an agonizingly terrible plot, uncared for backstory, and what's the point? Ooh, really? So let's talk about that for a second. Now that we've
Ah,
seen it, we're not grading it yet, and we'll talk a little bit more about the story too. But do you think that this film was a good thing for the franchise? Did they need to make it to? I mean, obviously, you never have to have a
I mean,
sequel, but go ahead.
look at where it went. Okay. It took it
Mhm,
to where Chucky and Tiffany had a kid.
mhm.
So, I mean, they took this series completely wow. But anyway, I mean, wait, what were we talking about? I
Well,
was
just
thinking
saying,
about that
as
today.
far as this movie, was
Oh
it
yeah,
a
yes.
good thing for the franchise and for Chucky?
Well, I don't think it's bad because, like Lee Ray was saying, he needs to get out of Chucky's body. He doesn't want to stay a doll forever. So, in a
Mhm.
way, this movie solidifies what happens to him. Does he stay as Chucky forever? Which, if you don't know, then I don't want to say. But if you do know, then you know. So, I mean, I don't think it's a bad movie in the series in the franchise.
All right.
So,
Well, I definitely think this is the movie that made him an icon. This is the movie where
hmm.
he basically came out, and Brad Dourif is where I wanted to kind of go to next. Is just I think he just did an amazing job
Oh yeah,
voicing Chucky, and I think this is
yeah.
really where Chucky, you could see where things could go with this character. Whereas with the first movie was a lot of great tension and good atmosphere, and it was kind of some mystery in there, at least for the characters and so forth. But this movie just basically took the training wheels off and it just went all out. The effects are better, the puppetry is better. It's a bigger movie, a bigger budget, has a great third act. One of the greatest third acts for a horror sequel, in my opinion, because it just sticks with you. You know what I mean? The what
Hmm.
they did, and we'll get to that in a second. But this is my design is in the chat. What's up, man? Good to see you. Saying
Hmm.
Nightwatch and Child's Play. I'm here for that. Right, right. And I know you're a big Chucky fan too, man. Real
Nice.
nerds in the chat. What's going on? What's going on?
Hello.
Let's see. Entertainment House saying I wanted a better story, but with the advertising, I would have shown up for a nastier approach. Okay. Child's Play 2 and 3 failed to deliver that. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I
Um,
can't even really remember Child's Play 3. That's
yeah.
funny. I know I've seen it, but I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nathan saying Phil was a douche, man. Could not stand him, right? How's it hanging, Phil? I love that scene. Hatchet Boys in the chat. What's going on? What's going on? Omni saying to entertainment, I love the dynamic, by the way, of Andy and Kyle, the foster home manager, how it showed that the trauma really affected Andy and Alex, being able to convey that, the kills, the iconic lines. Yeah, there was so many iconic lines, for Chucky, and I
Hmm.
think there was some pretty good kills. I mean, this is not. It's interesting because this isn't, and I think it's true for all the Child's Play movies. As far as it being a slasher, it's kind of a different type of slasher. Because you have the supernatural elements, with the voodoo and all that type of stuff, and it's a doll. So ultimately, you've got to find ways, and I think this movie did a good job of it. You got to find ways for Chucky to be in these situations and make it somewhat believable that he could, be successful or overcome someone. And it's usually by
Hmm.
surprise. He jumps out from behind. He has a knife in his hand at your throat. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, that's kind of believable that even a
He trips you
doll,
on stairs.
it
Yeah.
trips you on stairs. Right, right,
Yeah.
right. So, this movie found ways to make that happen, which I give it credit for. Dolo's in the chat saying Child's Play 2 is just so nostalgic. I was so scared of this version of Chucky as a kid. All right. All right.
Nice.
Miss C saying
See,
first half of the story fell flat, but the ending of the at the doll factory was freaking amazing. All right. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that I didn't see these Chucky movies as a kid. I didn't see him till I was like, oh God, probably in my early 20s.
Hmm.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
which is too
Yeah.
bad, but unfortunately I wasn't allowed. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Jason's in the chat. What's going on? And Daisy, what's going on? Good to
Yeah.
see you. Good to see you. Um, let's see. Entertainment Hell saying I'll give the film 3 points. Improved music score over 1988. The camera work would have garnered tension with a decent story. And I do like Kyle. She's the only character I think works in the film. The camera work, I do agree. The camera work was really, really good. Like some different scenes, like when Kyle was outside on the swing. And it's
Hmm.
kind of like this weird angle that they had a couple really good moments of good camera work that made it creepy. Plus the house that Andy was, the foster home. It was a creepy looking house, man. And I'm not just even talking about the little statues all over the place. It just looked creepy in there. I don't know about you,
Hmm.
but It did to me. Maybe it was just the way it was shot. Let's see. Um, all right, so I think I'm caught up there. But let's get into some of the kills. Like, when Chucky um finds a way. I thought this was actually pretty cool because he's basically going to be tossed aside by one of the executives from the company, and he basically puts up a plastic gun to the guy's head, and he's telling him drive because he finds out where Andy is staying, which also showed how smart Chucky is. Because he
Mhm.
called the agency and he says, I'm looking for Andy. And the lady was like, who is this? And it's his Uncle Charles, and
Right.
you got to give Brad Dourif some credit. Just thinking about it, it just puts a smile on my face. Some of the lines that he said. What did you think about like some of the kills, like this kill in the car and the teacher at the school? What did you think about those? How were they effective for you?
Uh, Yeah, I think the school one, that one was, yeah, that one was those poor kids, because,
Right?
you know, but Chucky, he's just, yeah, he doesn't care and he'll do it,
No, he doesn't.
anytime, anywhere he's got to. So that's one thing that just makes him exciting. And yeah,
Hmm.
they were great, good kill scenes and they were
Hmm.
enjoyable,
Yeah,
you know?
I think so too, man. I mean, when we go to the school scene, that one was one that always stood out to me as well because number one,
Hmm.
Kyle and Andy, their relationship gets a lot closer, and she's basically a big sister to him. Um,
Yeah.
but you
Because
know,
she knows he's telling the truth, man.
well, and I think she also relates to him as a foster kid who's been in a lot of homes herself.
Yeah.
She basically knows how he feels and how alone, a
Hmm.
foster kid can feel. And I think she just had a lot of sympathy for Andy, which I thought was cool for her character, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but once we get to the school, that whole situation, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, and this movie is from 1990. I think everything with Chucky still looks good. Like you can actually believe this doll is walking and hitting the
Yeah.
teacher and all of that stuff. I think they did a fantastic job with the
Hmm.
budget. What did you? And I think it's an improvement over the first. Did you think that, or would you think about how they just physicalized Chucky?
Yeah, I mean, for these movies and for a doll to come to life and to be able to do what they're making him do, I mean,
Hmm.
I think it's pretty damn good. So I've never really felt cheated because that looks cheesy, and it
Yeah.
never like took me out of the movies. So I
Hmm.
think they did good with Chucky. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Dre's in the chat too. What's going on, Dre? Saying love this sequel. All right. Um, I know this is my design. That's a good point. When he comes face to face with the other doll. Hi, I'm Tommy. Shut up, you idiot. Gets me every time. It is. There are some really funny moments, like when he
Yeah.
ties down Andy to the bed and he's about to go through the ritual and Kyle walks in and ties Andy's I think it's his right hand and he's like it's Chucky, kill him, and he just hits Chucky in the face. And it's just little funny moments like that. It's really challenging when you have a horror movie and it's a slasher and you have a killer like a Chucky in this, and you don't want to
Mhm.
go too far into ridiculousness, and it's tough to do, especially with the concept of this movie, a killer doll.
Mm.
But they had some funny moments. I found myself chuckling quite a few times in a good way. Dan
Yeah.
saying that Kyle was a good character. I think so. And I haven't and of course, we'll have no spoilers in here, but the fact that Christina Lee's obviously having connections to the current day Chucky series, I think it's some really cool stuff. It really, really is cool. Um, let's see, and I just want to catch up. Michael's in the chat too. What's going on? What's going on? Hatchet Boy is saying his laugh is the best. Yeah, this is where the laugh, the Chucky laugh, that iconic Chucky laugh. I think this is where it kind of, like I said, this is the movie that to me was kind of the defining moment for Chucky, kind of made him an icon. Like you step up from, that first movie, yeah, that was cool, to now saying, okay, this is an icon. This is someone who's sitting at the table with a Jason and Freddy and Michael and Pinhead and so forth. I think this is the movie that really put him on the map. Um, I know you guys are doing a lot of great quotes. I love it. uh, Chucky's design looks better in 1990 than today's Chucky. Yeah, this design I think this is the design I always kind of think of when I think of Chucky. You know, Entertainment House saying in no way does Chucky have the physical ability to kill anyone. No possibility for body strength to wield the ruler ruler hard enough. Probably true. Probably true. With the
It's all
knife though.
supernatural though,
But at the
what
yeah,
makes, a ghost able to move something when you can't physically see it? You know what I mean? It's more than just having to have the strength. It's
yeah.
being
But the
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, but it's also a movie. It's about a killer doll, just like
Hmm.
Freddy's about a dream demon. Like, none of this stuff. You can always find holes in any of this stuff because it obviously isn't real. Um, but for entertainment purposes, that's where people can draw the lines. Like, well, do they really buy into the concept or not? And there's some people that don't buy into the concept, of a killer doll. And same thing when we talked about with Megan. A lot of people were on board with that as a concept, and there are a lot of people that weren't. So yeah, yeah. Jason Dyer's in the chat. What's going on? Saying for anyone who says Chucky is not scary, go buy an official Chucky doll, place it in your room as you go to sleep. Go ahead, I dare you. That's funny. Eric's in the chat. What's up? What's up? Saying I prefer the original, but part two is a pretty decent follow-up. I can't deny that. All right. And Skull Crusher saying, I really like Child's Play 2. To me, it's a great sequel. Yeah. I think,
Okay.
and we've just recently talked about, a great sequel in Dream Warriors. And I think one of the things I always look for to define a sequel being good, because it's hard for a sequel to be better than the original. But in order for it to be good, you have to kind of layer the story a little bit more without going too far as over explaining, especially your villain. But the
Yeah.
villain also has to pop. The villain has to pop more, you know what I mean? Because now the cat's out of the bag, you know who the villain is. So now the villain has to do things, the ante has to be upped, in other words. And I think this movie definitely did that. And I think the sets, for this movie, just great, great places for this movie to take place. So, uh, Jason Rushman's in the chat too. What's going on? Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for the thumbs up. Let's see. And Omni saying, "Have you caught the series?" He explains how he's strong. Now, I have not gotten into the series yet, and that's
Yeah,
been
I
on the
haven't seen
watch
it either.
list. That's been on the watch list, but I did hear about that. But no spoilers. No spoilers. Um, Entertainment House saying, I actually agree with the argument that ghosts shouldn't have certain powers, but some movies make a good case that they should have that power, as the Changeling from 1980. Oh, that's a good point. I love the Changeling. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Um, Melissa saying I prefer three, but two is better than one. All right. Okay. Jason saying horror movies require a suspension of disbelief in order to be truly enjoyed. I mean, yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. Again, we're talking about a killer doll. At times we're talking about a dream demon. We're talking about a guy in 1978 who just wouldn't be killed even though he got shot 6 times in in the body. So it's like you gotta suspend disbelief. You really, really do. Um, but Coriander, let's get to the finale, which to me I think was so cool as a final act. The stakes were high and so forth. Tell me what you thought about the final act in the factory specifically.
I thought it was good. For me personally, it went a little too long.
Okay.
But I I enjoyed it. I liked
Hmm.
what they showed, the things what they did to Chucky. I mean,
Yeah.
they were they did a lot. So
Hmm.
yeah. So it was pretty interesting to see, and all these
Yeah.
Chucky dolls. I mean, that's crazy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Right? It
that
must
makes
have
it
been.
kind of creepy too.
It
So,
was like a million of them. They were going
yeah.
around in this factory. It was like a this was worse than the hedge maze in The Shining. Okay, they are
Yeah.
literally lost in this freaking thing because there's so many damn
Yeah.
boxes of dolls. But it makes for a great location and very very creepy. A lot of things that could happen. I really dug it. You know, it was the one
Mhm.
thing for me. I love it when he flips people off. It just looks so funny. Um, but you know, for me, I just remember when I first saw it, I'm just like, what's gonna happen? You know, and it's such a
Mhm.
huge place. And I like someone referenced earlier in the chat when he actually got a chance to finish the ritual and you have that scene where Andy opens his eyes, and Alex Vincent did a really good job in that particular scene because he opens his eyes, but he just doesn't look like a little kid. He doesn't look like Andy for that whatever it is 2 or 3 seconds, and you're thinking to yourself, or I'm thinking to myself, oh my god, it worked. He put himself into Andy's body, and we come to find out that Chucky had gotten hurt. He was in Chucky's body too long, and he couldn't make the ritual work. So it was kind of like, wow, man. And then it just goes on from there. Kyle obviously comes to save the day, and it's kind of like those two against Chucky. And like you said, they put Chucky through the paces. I mean, his arm, his legs, his body.
Mhm.
And I just remember when I first saw this, I was just sitting there thinking, how are they going to kill him? He won't die. He literally won't stop. And it was some great scenes.
Yeah.
And again, Brad Dourif is the glue, just making you really you just believe Chucky. He has that energy in his performance, voicing Chucky, and just it's just amazing. It's a great third act. I really, really do. I mean, could it have been shortened? Probably, because it runs for about 18 minutes, I believe. By the time Andy runs to the factory, because he's basically, being kidnapped by
See, I was
by
okay with,
Chucky.
yeah, all that. It was just when they were actually in the factory. Like all
Yeah,
those running scenes, we get it. But it was
yeah,
almost like too much.
hmm,
But
yeah.
because, like you said, it's like this place is huge. And
It is,
to
man.
have all those dolls and all those different, I don't know. Yeah. It's just, it
Yeah.
doesn't make it as believable as it could be.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get you. I get you. Michael saying, "Night, do you think a Chucky game could be made?" Oh yeah, they could make a game out of anything. Yeah, it could probably be pretty fun. I think so. Have a little bit of the supernatural vibe going on. I think that could be good. I think that could be good. Let's see. Omni was saying our own existence requires a suspension of disbelief to be enjoyed. I just thought about that because according to science, we shouldn't be alive. Oh
Hmm.
man. Dre saying the finale in the factory was so good. It was so funny too. I found myself cracking up. Yeah, yeah. I love it. Miss Carter's a fan of the third act as well. Yeah. Um Jason saying for me, this sequel really made me afraid of Chucky. Yeah, I mean, he was definitely finding a lot of ways to do things. He was pretty crafty, I gotta admit. Kay is in the chat. What's going on? What's going on? Dre saying that no line just echoed. Yeah, it did, man. I tell you, man, for a moment there, I thought when I first saw the movie, I was like, holy shit, it worked, but it didn't. It didn't. Um, Dan saying definitely went on a little long though. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Miss Carter said, I guess rituals don't work on unconscious victims. Right. Michael saying, I hope I get a chance to meet Brad Dourif. That would be cool. I'd
Yeah.
love to meet him too, man. He's just an icon. He's absolutely an icon. Um Jason saying, I love the sequel just because I had so much fun. Yeah, I think that's a good way to word it too. The sequel had a lot of fun with itself, like the first movie I think was I'll use the word more serious because of the fact that it was drawing out this whole reveal of Chucky as the killer doll, to the mother and so forth, and just kind of like these moments building upon each other. This movie, right from the beginning, even with the musical score, like people have talked about in the live chat, right from the beginning, it's bombastic. It's just boom, it hits you and it goes. And right from the point where he's revived and the worker gets electrocuted, it's like boom, it just hits the ground and it's gone. It's pretty fun. The tone of it, the fact that you've got these characters, and especially the ending, and some ludicrous moments, but it's having fun with itself. And I think this is really what made Chucky a horror icon. There's no doubt about that. I think that's one thing everyone can agree on. The Child's Play series and Chucky, as a character, has really stood the test of time. I mean, it really has. And there's a lot of horror icons that haven't. We've had a lot of horror movies, especially in the 80s, that might have been good or okay, might have even spawned franchises, but there's not many of them that are still front and center, like a Child's Play. So you got to give them some credit on that. Um, so let's just get down to what we usually do here, Coriander. Let's talk about what we want to give for a score
Mm.
for Child's Play 2. Now, just explain this to you guys. This is the way we rate these things. We've got 4 badges, which means we think the film is excellent and it's a must see for a horror fan. That's 4 badges. We've got 3, meaning that it's a good movie. It's good. We've got 2, meaning you can chance it. Take it or leave it. It's up to you. And then, of course, we've got the dreaded 1 badge, meaning that it's horrendous. It's dark territory. And just to make sure I explain this, because I remember, I think it was last week, we had someone that had put, I forgot what movie it was, as a 1. When we say 1, there are movies that we've given 1 badge to, a handful of movies. There were movies we couldn't even finish watching. They were horrendous. The kills were, I mean, I could do better makeup and special effects than some of these movies. And these were movies that some of them were made, at a time when movies just didn't have budgets and people just grabbed a video camera and they just started recording. And we've watched some of those types of movies for the series. So that's what 1 badge means, is that you can't even watch the damn thing. It has absolutely nothing about it that is good. That's a 1 badge. So Coriander, what are you going to give Child's Play 2 for your score?
Um, well, since described that in such a good way, I'm gonna give it a 1. No, I'm just joking.
Get out, man! Come
Uh,
on, you gotta stop.
no, I'm
Jeez,
3.
God,
I'm gonna give it 3.
you're gonna give it 3. Okay, you
Yeah.
giving it a good. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Um, for me, this movie is very, very nostalgic in a lot of ways, because when I first saw it, I was pretty young, and it was at a time when I was already big into horror, big into the icons, obviously Jason and Freddy and Michael. And when this came along, this kind of solidified Chucky to be in that group for me. And I absolutely loved it back then. And I still think it's a very well-made sequel, a very good horror sequel. And I'm going to give it 3 as well. I'm going to give it 3 as well. Um, I do think that there are a couple times in the movie, like you alluded to, where they kind of went on a little bit too long. Obviously that can happen sometimes in a movie. But yeah, I think it's a really good movie. I think it's something that horror fans should definitely check out. And especially being a horror icon, being Chucky as a horror icon, they should check it out.
Mhm.
Let's see. Let me just catch up to the chat before we head on out. Let's see. Michael Michael was not a fan of the remake. I hear you. I hear you. There's a lot of fans that have a lot of divisiveness for the remake. Miss Carter, thank you for reminding people to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Click the notification bell. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Um, Ginger Ninja said, "You want a 1 badge movie, Bigfoot versus zombies. That was brutal." That sounds
Ooh,
brutal. It
yeah,
sounds brutal. It really, really does.
I
Uh,
agree.
Om- Omni's going with 3.5. Okay, you guys with the halves. Brandon going with 4 badges. Okay, that's very cool. Uh, then Omni said, "Well, 3."
Mhm.
Okay. Had your boy saying, "I give it an 8." Okay. Let's see. Jason's going with 3. Okay. Ginger Ninja is going 3 badges from me. Entertainment Hell saying Seed of Chucky's the best film of the franchise. Flat out. Omni saying Seed is god awful. We got some opposite sides of the coin here.
Mm,
All right.
right?
Um, Missy saying she's going with 4 badges. Wow. Okay. 4 badges. Very, very cool. Um, yeah, I think this is a really good sequel. It has a lot of great things going on for it, but I think one of the biggest takeaways for me is just Chucky. This is where you saw him kind of get to do what he can do. The one-liners, the funny moments, flipping the bird to people. I mean,
Yeah.
it was great stuff, man. It really, really was. And I think again, Andy as a character, you know, got more to do, and then bringing in Christina Lee as Kyle, I think that was a great move, for the writers because she's a great character, you know. MKF30 saying 5 badges is one of the best slasher sequels ever. Child's Play 2, the third act is awesome. Yeah, it is
Mm.
awesome. Third act. Dan's going with 2. All right. Michael saying, "I wish they would have still had the Child's Play 2 Chucky look." Yeah, yeah, I think it was a great look. They did such a great job with Chucky in this movie. The way he was moved and physicalized and everything. I really think they did a great job. Um, Jason is going with 3. All right. 3 Chucky birds or 3 badges. Real nerd saying appreciate you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you as well. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for Child's Play 2. We could go on and on. There's a lot of great things in this movie. It's definitely a movie I think that for horror fans, they should check out. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of great moments. And you got some pretty good kills and a great finale. I mean, there you go, right there. Can't say much more. We
Mhm.
will be announcing what we're going to be doing for next week's Slasher Movie Club on the community tab. So check us out there. Also, if you're not following, on social media, do that as well. We'll probably connect with you guys that way as well. And yeah, we'll catch you guys next time. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about Child's Play 2, what you think about the series, and so forth. I'm sure it'll be a fun discussion. You guys were having a great discussion here today in the live chat. And again, don't forget to hit the like button. It helps support us, and we'd really appreciate it. And we will catch you guys on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about Nightmare on Elm Street 4. This is going to be an interesting one. We've been having a blast, being back together, all 3 of us doing a series review. So, anyways, we'll catch you guys then. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Nightwatch. Peace.
That's it.